All right, guys, how's it going? Now, earlier today, I don't know how, but I stumbled on this article regarding Darwin Nunez from 3 years ago. What date was it? 18th of June, 2022. It's actually an exclusive, and that's probably how I found it, because I've been looking for exclusive stuff. But I don't want to make it a today's exclusive, because it's not really today, it's 3 years ago. And it's not a piss take in any way, shape, or form. Darwin Nunez is a player I've been critical of, and I think justifiably so. I know I'd take the piss and I'll say, yeah, get rid of him, he's fucking useless or whatever, right? But at the end of the day, I actually really like him. Do you know what I mean? I just don't rate him. At Liverpool, I think he leaves Liverpool, where he's the main man, where he's like feeling the love and he's starting every game. I think he will become a very good player, and we'll look and go, why did we not see that? All right. I just think at Liverpool, he's not the main man. He stops, starts, I don't think a striker can do that. Anyway, he hasn't had a successful spell at Liverpool. But that doesn't mean, just when I go like, he's shite, he's fucking shite, right? That's what I think at Liverpool, right? But that doesn't mean I don't want him to succeed or that I don't like him as a guy. I actually... I've seen some cracking celebrations from him, when he's in the stand and he wants to go down, and we all seen him, when he lost his shit and that, I like him. I do like him. I'm gutted it's not worked out for him, to be honest with you. Anyway, this article here in the Mirror, I read it and it just, I like stuff like this, right? So this is why I'm choosing it for you. And there's something really important in here about his mental state, right? Which is something that I've touched on before, not taking the piss. I don't do that about people's mental state. But what I've said is sometimes, like, he ate all day, like with his, again, probably I'm not allowed to describe it like that, but I'm going to describe it in terms that people understand. And when I say not all there, I don't mean like, oh, it's just, it's thick. I don't mean that. I mean, like, he's, like Stan Collymore, another Liverpool striker, had, pressures in his head, and with him it's clear that criticism gets to him, right? We've seen the way he reacts to social media, how he has a breakdown, how he takes down pictures. I've done shit like that myself over the years, trust me, right? Because my head wasn't in a good place at the time. And most footballers, professional footballers, don't care about the criticism, but he clearly does. And I've said it a few times on here, I've said, and on the live streams, it clearly affects his mind, right? And in this article, it confirms that he's actually had like counselling for it. And this is 3 years ago, right? So you might find this video of interest for a couple of reasons. So it says when the 22-year-old was having kickabouts with his mates in the streets of Artigas, I guess that's called, a city in the northeast of the country situated close to the Brazilian border, he would dream of one day being good enough to buy his parents a new house. The humble family home Nunez shared with his mum and dad and older brother was built on the floodplain of the Coerim River. And I think, I can't pronounce names. And the few sticks of furniture they owned would often be washed away. He's always believed his mission in life is to look after the people who sacrificed everything to give him a chance to escape the poverty he was born into. And quotes from Nunez say, I don't ever forget where I come from. I am part of a humble, hard-working family. My father worked as a labourer on a building site for 8 or 9 hours every day. And when his shoes were falling off his feet, he would still try to find money to buy me football boots. My mum was a housewife, but she walked through the streets of the town collecting empty bottles to sell back to the stores. We had a house in Artigas, but it was never in good condition because of the floods. My first thought when I started playing football was to buy a house for my parents and set up a business for them. That was my goal. I have kept working hard to please my mum and dad because they did everything for me. It is like I'm giving them something back for all the love they gave to me. And he added, a father's love is unique. My dad showed me that not everything in life is material. Yes, I often went to bed with an empty belly, but the one person in the house who went to bed with the emptiest belly was my mum. A mother does everything for her children. My mum often went to sleep at night without eating anything because she wanted to feed the rest of us. I grew up in a poor neighbourhood, but I'm proud of where I come from. It was there that I learned how important it is to share things. When I was with my friends, we would all bring something we could all share, like a snack or some candy. I used to go to school at 7 a.m. because they would give us something to eat. When I got out of school at 3, I would go straight to training because Mum wasn't at home. She was out collecting bottles. There's just other bits here. I can't read all the article out to you. I'm not allowed to. I'm allowed to review it. But it's basically telling you about his move to Liverpool. Now, this is the other bit that I wanted to tell you about, just in case you've missed it. I don't know how I missed this 3 years ago. Maybe I was away overseas, or maybe I was in bed unwell or something. But I certainly have never seen this. And there might be somebody else out there that hasn't too. His spectacular rise has often been plagued with doubts, about himself. He had to seek psychological help when he became the target of social media trolls whilst playing for Uruguay at the Under-20 World Cup in Poland. So you can see that there is a psychological thing there. And I'm not taking it, I like a laugh and a joke and a giggle, and I don't take the piss out of things like that, guys. It's just, you can just tell, can't you? And when you think that someone's like that, and then it's here in black and white, you think, fucking hell, you're right, or whatever. So he had to seek help. And he said, I used to look at networks a lot, social media, but then I saw comments that I didn't like. They actually made me feel sick. The criticism started to get me down, and I had to speak to the national team psychologist. He helped me a lot, but the answer was simple. Now I don't turn my cell phone on in the dressing room to read what is being said about me. I only turn my phone on after games to speak with my family and friends. I will only listen to the people who have been supportive. Now, the thing is, we know that he hasn't stuck to that, because you'll remember a few weeks ago, he put a post out, like 3 or 4 attempts to put it out, changing it. You could say like angry and rewording it, and then then it sounded maybe a bit brutal towards the fans, but eventually it was like, a few weeks ago, I was a hero because he scored a winner, and now, because I've had a bad game, I'm the worst player ever. You can see how it affects his mind. And that backs that up, right? And this is a player with that confidence issue. And this is what I think. I think he needs to be at a club where he's really appreciated. Now, he might be appreciated at Liverpool, but what you have to understand, Liverpool is a club with great players. And our fans are very good, in all fairness. You can have a shit game and they're still shouting Nunez, 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 even though they're looking at each other going, Nunez, Nunez, Nunez. Because that's how Liverpool fans support, And I'm sad that it hasn't worked out for him, to be honest with you. I like him. I really wish it had worked out, because there's clearly a player in there. And if it had clicked for him, he would have been phenomenal for us, guys. There's part of me, after reading that, where I'm like, I don't want him to go. I want him to stay, and I want it to work out for him. But that's your heart thinking, not your head. And we often do that in life, don't we? It's like when you have a bet on the football, you bet with your heart. Oh, I'm backing Liverpool. You don't back with your head as to what might happen. And unfortunately, in football, it is a results business with a lot of money, and there's no sentiment. And I hope, from a personal point of view, that he moves to Spain. I do, because with me being here in Spain, with me reviewing the Spanish papers for you guys on a morning, looking for little Liverpool connections, it would be very interesting to see how he, say he went to Atletico Madrid. It would be very good to see how he fares here. And additionally, of course, on my other channel, Golazo España, where I review the Spanish clubs and news and everything in detail, not just focusing on Liverpool. But I have a lot of time for footballers who are family orientated, where they've come from fuck all and have done all right. And I feel a bit like that sometimes, like I lost my mum 13 years ago, and I mentioned this today on my morning briefing, actually, on my other channel, that it was about Darwin Nunez, really. And when I was a kid, my real father didn't play any real input into my life. He wasn't in my life. I was brought up by a stepfather who I took his surname when my mum married him. And he was dad to me. You know, I called him dad. Biologically, he wasn't my father, but he was a man and he brought me up, you know. But prior to that, you know, we lived on 4 different council estates. You know, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents because my mum was out. She had 4 jobs as a single parent to try and give me the best in life. And like I said in the morning briefing today, I wouldn't be here with a KopTalk website behind me if my mum hadn't have rented a computer for me when I was a young lad or whatever from Radio Rentals. Because that enabled me to teach myself and learn. And my mum did all that for me, like Darwin Nunez' mum did for him, working hard to put football boots on his feet. And my mum worked hard to put a mouse and a keyboard in my hands. And although I'm not, you know, a wealthy individual, my life is better than what it was when my mum was fucking working 4 jobs, you know what I mean? But you always remember where you come from, and thanks to what my mum did for me, I achieved in what I think in my life, because I'm sat on the Mediterranean in a nice house, and I have a reasonably okay life. I get by, it's hard, it's tough. It's not like these, or millions of pounds, or else I wouldn't be saying at the end of my videos, hey, if you could get me a coffee, a nice one, and I'll show you appreciation, all right. You know, I hate doing that, but it's what I do. This is my job, all right? And if people enjoy your content, and if they're in a position to support you, they'll do that. And if they can't do that, maybe they can put the effort in and thumbs up a video if they like your video, or comment. It doesn't cost anything to be nice, you know? And that gives me inspiration too. So when I see, you know, a footballer saying, fuck, we were poor as fuck, but I've made it and I looked after my mum and my dad and wherever, I like it. I like it a lot. And when I, you know, succeeded with KopTalk, when KopTalk exploded, you know, in the late 90s, if you like, you know, the advertising revenue then was different to today. That back then you could be earning thousands a month, today pennies, because the advertising bubble burst in the year 2000. And that's why there's so many adverts on websites now. Back then it wasn't like that, right? So the .com bubble burst, I knew it was coming, and I was the first one to create this, which is the KopTalk VIP members website, which is completely ad-free, as you can see. And it was a community, an optional membership where it was like, and that if you can really help me by becoming a VIP member, I'll continue to work hard for you. And it was new on the internet at the time, you know, so I got slaughtered for it, you know, by the other Liverpool website, Conman, charging for the internet, this, that, and the other, you know, for news. And look how things changed, you know, subscription websites. And ironically, all of those fuckers that tormented me at the time, those websites all today have memberships, which are actually more expensive than KopTalk. But it wasn't about making money to profit, you know, in the sense of, yeah, I want to, you know, it was about survival. And of course, if you've got a bit extra money, you can do a nice thing, you know, you can go on a nice holiday or something like that. And because of the success I achieved with KopTalk, primarily from advertising before the .com bubble burst, and the arrangements I had with big companies, publications in the UK, I was then able to do what Darwin Nunez did. I wasn't able to buy my mum a house, but I was able to take my mum to places, you know, like Dallas, like when I went to see Tom Hicks out there, you know, when I was invited out there by the owners at the time. Obviously, I was in Dallas. I was like, I'll have to take my mum to Southfolk, you know, remember the TV series? And made a dream come true for my mum. And she sat there and cried inside, you know, J.R. Ewing's fucking bedroom or house. You know, we've got all the pictures and everything. And my mum cried because it reminded her of her parents that were passed. And here was a woman that when she was a young woman bringing me up as a baby or a child or whatever, worked all those jobs, struggled really, really hard, probably bumming around everywhere on a bus, backwards and forwards, carrying, shopping, looking after her only child. And then maybe at the weekend, she sat and watched Dallas, and here she was all those years later with her boy who'd been successful in her eyes, now looking after her. So because of my experiences in life, when I see footballers doing this, and yeah, you know, they're multi-millionaires, of course they can do it. But not all footballers are like that. Just like all sons are not like that in, you know, lower down the fucking society ladder of success or whatever. So when I hear these footballers saying we had fuck all, my mum did this, my dad did that or whatever, but I've made it and I made sure I looked after them, that is a big deal for me. And I think many of you might be able to understand and relate to that. And it just makes me more sad that Darwin Nunez hasn't succeeded at Liverpool. Do you understand what I mean by that? So anyway, there's two things there, I think. One, I like the fact he's a good fucking egg, but I knew that anyway. Just think he's shit footballer ready for Liverpool. Can't be helped. I'm not going to change my opinion. And two, that there is history of psychological pressure, depression, stress, being upset, having his mind blocked, and it's possibly affecting his game as well. So anyway, I'll leave it with you guys. I was trying to explain to you the reason, you know, if I bored you a little bit there about my own life, I was just trying to explain to you that, you know, why I assume that I look at these stories and think, yeah, because obviously my mum's gone, and, you know, I'm like, I would do anything to have my mum here. But I won't be here with you guys right now if it worked for my mum. Not for the obvious reasons of having a leg over with my dad, you know what I mean? But the fact of the hard work that she put in for me to get me where I am today, just like Darwin Nunez, his mum went out picking bottles up all fucking day to get football boots for him, and his old man, you know, helped out and that. So it'll do for me. I thought it was a nice little story. I know it's 3 years old. And I'm sure many of you read it and know about it. I didn't. And I know a lot of things about Liverpool, trust me. And I read a lot of things about Liverpool. But something must have been happening in my life around then that prevented me from being aware of that. Okay, guys, I'll leave it with you. If somehow, or you did appreciate this video, please thumbs up the video. By all means, leave a comment, you know, about Darwin or whatever. And is there anything you agree or disagree with what I've said in the video? And guess what? If you want to buy me a coffee, when I go to the cafe tomorrow morning, I'll be reviewing the papers. You can hit that super thanks button on here, the love heart under the video, and I'll give you a shout out in tomorrow morning's briefing and tell everyone how fucking great you are, just like Darwin Nunez. One thing I will say as well, the storage ran out on this recording when I was recording it, so you might have seen the video just split together. I didn't cut anything out. It just came up on the screen and said storage full, and you won't want to hear what I said at that point. Well, it would have been recorded anyway. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Speak to you real soon.